Hello students and welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. So in today's session we'll be discussing about a new index that has come out, has been launched for the very first time, and it has been launched by World Bank. Now, what is this index? We'll see that in detail, but understand this, why the reason for bringing out this index. So World Bank earlier used to come up with a report called as the ease of doing business report, ease of doing business, which used to rank different countries based on the parameters as to how easy it is to do business in a particular country. Now, the thing why they have discontinued it since the past few years, why? Because there were certain ethical issues which has been brought out. There were certain allegations that World Bank was basically bringing up inflated points for certain countries, better points for certain countries, because of some sort of corruption or whatever the reason may be. The reports were tilted in favor of certain countries. So because of that, World Bank stopped it. But after a few years, now it has come up with Be Ready Index. So we will see what it is. Also, we will see how is it different from the ease of doing business report. Remember, it is issued or launched by the World Bank, very important for your prelims. So World Bank launched its first ever edition of Be Ready, that is Business Ready Index. Now, what is this Business Ready Index? See, right now, when you are launching it for the first time, you may not be able to have the entire world's or a lot of countries' data. So to begin with, they have made an assessment of 50 economies. It's very important. It does, generally the World Bank, IMF, United Nations, whenever they come up with certain things, they come up with the data of a lot of countries, all the members, etc., 190, 180 countries, so on and so forth. But here it is just 50 economies right now. They have planned to cover 180 economies by 2026. Okay, and then by that time even India would be covered, but presently India is excluding India, and aims to cover 180 economies by 2026. It is a successor to ease of doing business report, right? Ease of doing business rankings or report of the World Bank, which was previously brought in. This was a flagship report of World Bank which ranked countries on what basis? On how easy it is to do business in that particular country. Right now, the thing is, India earlier, let's say around 8-9 years back or 10 years back, India's ranking was very poor. India was above 100, or you can say below 100. But India has done quite well in improving its business environment by liberalizing a lot of laws, by making it very easy to start a business and coming up with schemes like Startup India and various other schemes which helps the business to grow. Because of that, India's ranking had considerably increased and we were around in the 50s. Imagine, from below 100 we reached to 50, so that was a commendable achievement. Anyway, so that has been discontinued since 2021 owing to, as I said, ethical irregularities. Now let us see what this Business Ready or Be Ready Index is. It will provide, of course, quantitative assessment of the business environment, and it will focus on 3 pillars. So these 3 pillars are important in prelims. They can ask you which of the following are the 3 pillars of the Be Ready Index. So you should know those 3 pillars, what they are. It will be published annually and cover most economies of the world by 2026. Presently, in the first edition, only 50 are covered, and it, of course, excludes India. I hope this is absolutely clear. Right now, this is being launched in when you know how easy it is, how difficult it is, then only you can assess and improve. The countries can improve. So it is launched keeping in mind the World Bank's twin goals of eliminating poverty and boosting shared prosperity. Now, why I'm underlining this sentence is because these are the kind of things you should use in your answer as conclusion. Let's say you're writing about certain thing, a World Bank related question has come or some other question has come which is related to the economy of the world. So you can talk about it. Will help ensure the World Bank's World Bank Group's twin goals of eliminating poverty and boosting shared prosperity. So if it was about poverty, World Bank, world economy, you can use these as your conclusion, which is positive, goal oriented and aspirational in nature. So these kind of phrases and all you should have. So three pillars are there. We should remember the name of all the three pillars. The number one pillar is the regulatory framework. So what it will do, it is going to see what are the rules and regulation that the firms must follow when they open, they operate and they close. So all the three stages, it is not, see, ease of doing business does not just mean easy to open the business. It also includes easy to operate, easy to close as well. That was the case, when we talk about ease of doing business. Here also we are talking about when it is open, operating and closing. Why operating and closing is also important? See, if just opening is easy and operating is not, then you will be there in, you will be in there with a shock. Oh my God, it was so easy to open, but after opening, these are so many guidelines, so many rules, regulations, restrictions. That will be a problem and failure of the business will increase. At the same time, it is slightly difficult in India to close the business as compared to certain Western world, certain countries like USA, wherein hire and fire things are there. That's not the case in India. You cannot just like fire the employee just like that overnight. The organizations still do that, but then there are labor laws to protect that. Okay, so since it is difficult, what problem it has when it is difficult to close a business? See, when will someone close a business? When it is making losses. Now, if you make it difficult to close a business, what will happen? The person will keep on making losses and it will get worse and worse and worse. That is why when things are not working fine, easy removal or closure should also be made available, at least for the genuine failures that are there. We're not talking about siphoning of the money. Even in that case, there needs to be certain measures to be taken. But sometimes genuinely the business fails. You are not siphoning of the money, you are utilizing it correctly, but still it is failing. So the businesses should be allowed to close fast in order to minimize the losses. And even for the people working over there, they'll keep on working, won't get salary. They could have search for job elsewhere and got that. So all those issues would come, and these people can start some other business, do something else rather than piling up debt and more debt. Okay, so that's the first pillar, regulatory framework. Second pillar is about the public service. It talks about the facilities to support the regulatory compliance and institutions and infrastructure to enable business activities. What is this? Public services. So you are going to support the regulatory compliance. First pillar talks about regulatory framework. You have to achieve that. To achieve that, there should be proper public services also available for you, which facilitates you doing the regulatory compliances. Or else, what is this point trying to say? There are 10 compliances which you have to achieve, but public services are not easy to get, difficult to implement, difficult to get the services. There is, let's say, lack of availability of the centers where you can get those services availed, or there is huge amount of corruption, or there is huge amount of red tapeism which is delaying the process. All those things should not be there. Facilities should be available in order to support the business for complying with regulations that are there, and also availability of infrastructure which enables business activities. A small example of infrastructure I would tell you is road. Road helps the businesses, right? So this is what we are talking about here. Third is operational efficiency. Operational efficiency. It talks about ease of regulatory compliance, effective use of public services directly relevant to the firms. So it should be efficient as well. Operational efficiency. Why operational efficiency is required? This is the heart of the business. Operations is the heart of the business. If operations is inefficient, there would be losses. That is why operational efficiency, it is the third pillar. I hope this is absolutely clear. Now, what are the features of Be Ready Index vis-a-vis ease of doing business? Let us see. First, it is very comprehensive. It evaluates the business environment from the perspective of an individual firm, and from the point of view of private sector development as a whole. This is very important. So what is Be Ready Index doing? Analyzing from the individual perspective as well as the sector. Whereas if you look at ease of doing business, it only took care of the individual or small and medium firms. It did not take care of the private sector or an individual sector as a whole. So this was not comprehensive. This is now comprehensive. Important for your prelims as well as in mains if they ask you to analyze, compare and contrast the differences. Compare and contrast the two. Second, qualitative. So Be Ready Index also examines what? The qualitative analysis. Qualitative analysis as in regulatory burden, not just the regulatory burden. See, earlier what happened in ease of doing business, they just saw how much regulatory burden is there on the firm. If the burden is less, then what happens? The ease of doing business will be high. If the burden is more, ease of doing business is less. Only that is what they saw. But now in addition to that, they will also see the quality of regulation. So the burden of regulation may be more, but if the quality of regulation is high, you can still do well in the Be Ready Index. So it is not just the amount of burden, but how good is the quality of regulating that burden is also looked at. Okay, for example, I'll give you an example. In a workplace, you can have very less workload, but you are executing that work in a very terrible manner. So with less workload also, there will be low efficiency, low profits, less of everything. But in another organization, there may be higher amount of workload, but the efficiency of implementing, executing it could be so good, so smooth that it can be done in lesser time, it can be done with more efficiency, it will lead to more profits, so on and so forth. So ease of doing business took care only about the burden, how much is the burden, but Be Ready Index also takes care about the quality of regulation of that burden. And ease of doing business, only burden of the firm was taken into account. Now, when it comes to the balance, so balance of the data, etc., Be Ready Index collects de jure, that is statutory, as well as de facto, that is practical information on the firms. Whereas in ease of doing business, certain indicators covered only de facto regulations, right, while certain covered only de jure. So here in all the factors there is statutory as well as practical information. In ease of doing business, certain indicators covered only de facto, that is practical, and certain covered only de jure, that is statutory. So again, this also makes of a very comprehensive analysis of the index. Further, diversity. So Be Ready Index covered all major topics, unlike ease of doing business, which excluded some topics like employing labor. How much labor is employed with how much efficiency. So certain important factors were missing from ease of doing business report, which is not the case in Be Ready Index. All that is covered. So all in all, you can say that a Be Ready Index is a more comprehensive, quantitative as well as qualitative index. So an upgrade from ease of doing business. But one thing remains to be seen, that this should not then come under the turmoil of ethical issues like the ease of doing business came under. All right, so that's about it about the Be Ready Index. I hope it's very clear. See you in the next session. Thank you.